but probably many of you have not seen the study. I would venture to guess. And it has been sort of purposefully buried, I can tell you that. But here's what we found. That on the same acreage, and this was based on tabulation of analysis of data. So if we take a 400-acre farm, okay, on these same acres, and this was with average production standards, okay, so keep that in mind, not the production standards we're going to be talking about later today. If we had 1,000-pound or 10-weight mature body weight cows and an average body condition score of 5, that 400 acres could support 100 of those cows, and it costs $328 a year to feed them. Okay? Now, one thing that we found in our national IRM data analysis is that the most expensive cost sector for beef cattle production was what? What they eat. What they eat every year. All right, so counting the cost of pasture and then fed feedstuffs, supplemental feedstuffs, and all of that, the average producer in the U.S. spends somewhere between 73 and 78% of the total dollars spent on that cow each year on what she eats. So if we want to reduce costs and increase net margins, that's the area we need to concentrate on, what they're eating every year. Okay? So the 400 acres could support 100,000-pound cows that cost $328 a year, but could only support 67 1,500-pound cows that cost $493 a year. Okay? For a difference of $165 per head annually in feed cost. Right? But here's something that's much, much more important. On that same farm, these 100 cows produced 92 calves that returned set right at $80,000. Okay? The 67 1,500-pound cows produced only 55 calves that brought in $51,000. A difference on the exact same acres of $28,000. This is the most important lesson that this is telling us. Right? Individual calf weaning weight and performance is absolutely meaningless. Y'all hear that? Absolutely meaningless. We like to brag about it. We like to go to the cafe or the auction barn and brag about our 750-pound weaning weight calf. We don't tell them about the free weight weaning weight calf, do we? Okay? We want to brag about the best calf. What is meaningful, folks? All of us only have so many acres, right? We only have so many acres. Doesn't matter whether we have 10 acres or we have 10,000 acres or more. It doesn't matter. We all still only have so many acres. The number one key to profitability is profit per acre, not profit per animal. Okay? Profit per animal is meaningless. All right? It's profit per acre. And so the key here is pounds sold versus the number of acres that you have, and it's total pounds sold, not individual calf weaning weight. Okay, yes, sir?
That 28,000 doesn't take into the feed cost either, does it?
The 28,000?
That would be a gross number.
No, it doesn't. That's just the gross sales number. Now, if you take into account the $165 per head feed cost difference, that number ratchets up quite a bit more in favor of the smaller cows. Okay?
And 28 is the difference as well.
Excuse me?
The 28 is the difference as well.
Right. The $28,000 is the difference, so you brought in $28,000 more just in pure calf sales. That's not counting reduced cost factored in there. Yes, sir?
What are you basing the calf value on? What's the number?
That I'd have to go back and look. Let's see. This was the southeastern average for June 2012. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Here's what I've done. I can recalculate that to current calf prices, and you're still going to have the same difference.
Similar.
Right, you know, it's gonna be very, very similar. Why? Because whether prices go up or down, the difference between the classes, weight classes, is always the same, right? You know, do you ever see an 8 weight bringing more than a 4 weight per pound? No, you never see it, okay? You know, as cattle go up in weight, what happens to the price per pound? It goes down, exactly, it goes down, okay? So again, if I have more weight, total weight to sell off of my farm or ranch each year, irrespective of that individual calf weaning weight, if I've got more total weight, total pounds, I'm making more money, period. That's how we have to view it. But we have spent so much time getting caught up in the individual animal performance that we have forgotten that a lot of times, you know, and we want to concentrate on the individual animal performance rather than whole farm performance. Okay, so here's the bottom line. You know, lactating, gestating cows are going to need to consume a minimum. And I like to give them 3.5%, you know, in our operation. But they're going to need a minimum of 3% of their body weight per day in dry matter consumption. So an 1,100-pound cow is going to need 33 pounds per day, or 12,000 annually. A 1,500-pound cow is going to eat 45 pounds daily, or 16,000 pounds annually. And an 1,800-pound cow, 54 pounds, or right at 20,000 pounds annually. I know which one I would rather feed, okay? Much rather feed, all right? So, if you compare the 18, and you know what? There's a lot of these cows still out there, folks. A lot more than you would think. There's a bunch of monster cows out in the countryside. The 1,800-pound cow will eat $230 more in groceries a year than the 1,100-pound cow. Okay? The 1,500-pound cow will eat $131 more in groceries a year than the 1,100-pound cow. All right, let's look at phenotype. Okay? Yeah.
Do you feel that if those big cows are still kicking around, and they're, say, like I'm dwindling down, I'm bringing cow size down, and them older cows, they're very 10 years old now, but they're still 1,500 pounds. Is it worth it saving them?
Well, here, this is my philosophy, this is what we do. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, to be honest with you. But, you know, I also have to factor in the cost of cow replacement. And so what I do, yes, if I have a 1,500-pound cow, I know she's too big, I know she needs to go. So I mark her, I don't save any replacement stock out of her, so I don't propagate her genetics. And then the first chance she gives me, she's gone. So that means she has to make a mistake. If she keeps breeding back and bring a live calf, then I keep her. Yeah. And I think economically that's probably the best strategy, is what I found. But usually at some point those cows are going to give you a reason to get them gone, and then at that point they're out of it. But the most important thing is don't save breeding stock from them. Yeah, yes, sir.
I agree with you on longevity, but so it gets to the point of the weight, where it comes up, usually, I'm assuming everybody has the same issue. You know, 1,100-pound cow, 1,000-pound cow, 2-3-year-old, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Longevity, number one, that's very good, more cash, more profitability, more weight. Normally, I think on average farm in the Northeast, you know, they got to 5-6 years old, you're pushing 1,500 to 1,800 pounds. It goes back to your, I mean, where do you go?
Well, what's the frame score on those cows, then?
All right?
What's the frame score on those cows? You know, and see, that's how we've been able to control that with your body. And you're right, as they age, they're going to get heavier. You're absolutely right. But yet, we have, you know, 15, 16, 17-year-old cows that are, you know, no more than 1,200 pounds.
Really?
Right. But again, we control that by frame score. Okay? Now, if you got a 6-frame, 7-frame cow, yeah, she's going to get on up there. You're absolutely right. So you have to control that through your frame score selection. Yes. Yeah. But you are 100% correct in that. Okay, so here's what we look for phenotypically. All right. And I want you to fix these phenotypes in your mind. This is my first selection parameter beyond what I'm going to tell you in a little bit, okay? But phenotype, now longevity is still the top of the list. I'll just go ahead and address it. How do we determine it? Okay? How do you determine potential for longevity out of your seed stock suppliers? How do you know that? There's not an EPD for it, right? So how do we determine longevity in cattle?
Look at the calories on the book.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a huge proponent of never buying seed stock from a seed stock supplier that you have never stepped foot on their place. Okay? That's a big mistake. When you're buying seed stock, do your homework. Go to their farm. And then the first thing I ask to see are not their bulls for sale, not their heifers for sale, but what? The oldest cows on their place. And a lot of them look at me like, you know, and the ones that know me real well now, that's just, they know that's a given, okay? But if it's somebody I've never worked with before, they look at me real funny. What? The oldest? You want to see bulls, right? No. I want to see the oldest cows on your place. And then I want to see proof. Show me the pedigrees. I want to see proof of their age, okay? So that's what you need to do. Ask to see the oldest cows on their place. And you know what? If the oldest cows are 8, 9, 10-year-old cows and they look broken down, you know, and they've got them stuck way off on the back 40 because they don't want nobody to see them, you know, then you need to say, thank you, and politely leave, okay? So if they can't produce old cows, why do you think their genetics can produce old cows for you? You know, they're not going to be able to do it, okay? So that's the first thing I always do. That's just a top practice, and that's one of the key ways that we determine potential for longevity, is seeing if they have longevity. And when I see those old cows, what am I looking for? I'm looking for body condition. I'm looking for soundness of udders and teats. I'm looking for soundness of feet and legs, eyes, all of that type of thing, and whole skeletal structural soundness. Okay? How well are they holding up? All right? And also want to see their production records. Have they skipped calves? You know, do they have a calf currently by side, or are they currently bred back? So all of that's very important to me, and that's what I want to see. After that, then we can go further. We can start looking at all the other stuff. But that's the first test they have to pass. Yes, sir.
And if this is an operation that uses AI, there really is no way you can check on the bull's half, even though it came from one of their cows. So I guess that's the answer to the question. Don't buy from a place like that.
Well, if their cows are lasting a long time and they've been using AI, then obviously they've been making wise decisions. You know, because a lot, you know, that's, so the first, I look at the cows. You know, if they have cows that are aged, they've been making wise genetic selection and management decisions. So I don't worry much about the other, unless they're just recently started using a lot of outcross bulls that they've never used before on AI. Then I'll wonder about that, okay? But otherwise, I'm not that worried about it. Yes?
What do you consider old? How many years?
Well, if a seed stock breeder doesn't have cows that are at least in their teens, then I get concerned, okay? So they need to be at least in their teens, you know, beyond 12, okay? Beyond 12. Now, there are a lot of seed stock breeders out there that have, quote, mature cow herd dispersals regularly, right? And so they'll sell 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old cows pretty routinely. I don't even fool with them because they're not leaving any old cows around for me to even take a look at. I don't know what they can do. I don't know what they can do at all. So I don't even fool with them. You know, they're automatically off my list if that's their practice. And I know what, again, I'm a geneticist by training and understand what they think they're doing. You know, turning generations is supposed to make more rapid genetic progress, right? Yeah, in theory. But you know what? Turning generations more rapidly can also digress genetic progress more rapidly. All right? It depends on your selection decisions. Just the very act of that doesn't mean you're making progress. It can mean you're actually going downhill fast. All right? So we have to remember that. It doesn't always, your ability as a breeder plays an enormous role in it. Okay? So again, bulls should look like bulls, very masculine in appearance. They should be very sound on their feet and legs. They should have a nice crest to their neck, heavy in the shoulders, and carry a nice muscling all the way back through the round and deep into the twist and above the hock here. I'm looking for very deep body capacity with a lot of expression in the lower third of the midrib, very deep heart girth, deep in the flank. Okay? They got to be able to travel. So again, these are the things that I just pointed out. Also, they need to be highly fertile. So excellent testicular development is one of the things that I place heavy emphasis on when I'm looking at bulls. If they match the phenotype, but they fail on this, then they're off my list. Okay? And again, we talked about moderate frame. Now, in terms of inheritance of frame score, it is an additive genetic trait. Okay? And so that means if you are targeting 4-frame or 3-frame cattle, but you're using 5-frame, 6-frame, or larger bulls, you will never get there. You won't. It's impossible because it's an additive genetic trait. Okay? So your progeny are going, because it's additive, your progeny are going to be typically in between in frame score their dam and their sire. Okay? So if your cows are frame score 6 and you want to frame them down, you better be using frame score 3 bulls or even 2 bulls, okay, to get that job done within a single generation. Okay? All right. Jan Bonsma said that when viewed from behind, the fertile bull should have well-sprung ribs in the lower rib region. Again, right in here is the widest part of the body. So we illustrate that here. This particular Angus bull is a very deep, thick bull. He's being heavily used in the grass-fed sector. And you can see he's very thickly muscled in the round, in the rump, but yet the widest part of his body is still the lower third of the midrib. When you move from behind, again, excellent testicular development as well. This is another Angus bull. Again, the same thing. The widest part of the body is the lower third of the midrib section. We see the same type of characteristics in this red Angus bull. So again, we're looking for bulls with tremendous gut capacity and depth of body, excellent testicular development, very sound, lower third of that midrib, has excellent expression, thickly muscled from front to rear. Hereford bull, exhibiting the same traits. This is a Trask bloodline Hereford that you're looking at here. This is actually a low-line Angus bull here in Montana. Okay, so this particular bull, again, exhibiting the similar characteristics. So as we went through all of those, even though they were different breeds, different coat colors, phenotypically they all look the same, didn't they? Okay? And that's what we're looking for cattle that are going to perform economically, effectively, and efficiently on grass. Again, another bull that's worked very well. This particular bull has a lot of wide Angus lineage in his bloodline, as does this bull as well. Okay, what about the cows? Okay? Well, a cow, we said a bull should look masculine, right? A cow should look very feminine, okay? Very feminine. And therefore, we want a cow to be very lean and clean about the head, neck, and shoulders. I don't want to see excess fat deposits. I don't want to see coarseness here, okay? All of that. I want them to be lean and clean about the head, neck, and shoulders. But they need to explode as we move from the front to the rear. Again, tremendous gut capacity, a lot of expression in the lower third midrib, tremendous heart depth, heart girth depth here, depth in the flank, soundness of feet and legs, very sound udders and teats, okay? Sound eyes and teeth, wide muzzle is also important. I don't want a narrow muzzle on cows that are going to be out there grazing, okay, to make their living. And I also want to see a little slope from the hooks to the pins, okay? The front of the pelvic structure to the back of the pelvic structure. Why? Why do I want to see some slope from the hooks to the downward slope from the hooks to pins? Yes, sir?
Just calving ease.
Exactly. Cavities. Cavities. You know, when I was in college and on the livestock judging team, we were taught to select for cattle that were level from the hooks to the pins. And I've since learned absolutely not. You know, absolutely not. So, we want to see a little bit of slope there. So again, these are the characteristics I just described to you. And no matter what breed of cow you're looking at, again, the widest point of the body should be that lower third of the midrib section, okay, whether viewed from the front or the rear. This is a really solid grass-based genetics cow that has performed exceptionally well in her lifetime. Again, you see the attributes that I've been talking about, very lean and clean about the head, neck, and shoulders. Explodes as she moves back. You know, you can see tremendous depth and gut capacity here. You know, sloping from the hooks to the pins, very sound udder and teeth, sound on her feet and legs. So exhibiting the characteristics that we're looking for. This is another cow that has produced a lot of seed stock bulls that have performed very, very well in the grass-fed sector. This happens to be from Diamond D out in Blair, Montana. So she's has a tremendous maternal bloodline, but again, look at the phenotype, okay, and what she is there. Now, here's the deal. I work with both the grass-fed beef and the grass-fed dairy, and what we have found is that the phenotype of those cows, whether they're grass-fed beef or grass-fed dairy, is very, very similar, okay? So again, we look grass-fed dairy, grass-fed beef. Not a lot of difference in their phenotype, right? I mean, obviously, this is a little more dairy type, a lot heavier milking, okay, than the beef cow, but still the same attributes in their phenotype, you know, lean and clean about the head, neck, and shoulders, explode here in the midrib section, you know, their slope from the hooks to the pins, sound udder, sound feet and legs. Again, beef, dairy. And these dairy cows are proven high-producing grass-fed dairy cows. Okay? So those are pictures of proven females, not just females we picked out because of phenotype. So they're very, very similar. So genetically uniform cows produce genetically uniform calves. And that's what we're after. And here's why genetics are important. Okay? And we'll talk more about this late this afternoon when we get into carcass value and so forth. But again, because we harvest cattle every year and every week, you know, we send loads, and by loads, we're talking about, 40 to 42 head on a semi-load at a time. So we've got lots and lots of data through the years. This is data compiled through 100+ harvests, and that's not 100+ head, but 100 or more loads of 40 head or more per load, okay? And these are the differences, not the actual animal weights, but the difference in weight from the top animal to the bottom animal in a single 40 head load, okay? So out of all of these loads of cattle, these are some of the differences that we found. Live weight range differences out of this 100 or more harvests that we compiled data on. We found loads that had no more than 123 pounds difference from the heaviest to the lightest animal in that load. Then we had other loads that had more than a 600-pound difference from the heaviest to the lightest, going to the processing plant for harvest. Right? Now, as a branded program, as a beef marketer, I don't like that at all. Okay? As I told the group yesterday, that gives me heartburn. all right? And when I try to market product this disparate, and look at the hot carcass weight range difference. Loads that had only a 95-pound weight range between the heaviest and the lightest hot carcass to loads that had more than a 550-pound hot carcass weight. Now you try explaining that to customers. You know, this is where on Monday morning, I start getting phone calls with complaints. And folks, I don't like handling complaints. Okay, I really don't. That's the least favorite thing that I do. And I want to avoid that if at all possible. Look at the dressing percentage difference, okay? We had loads that had no more than a 2% difference from the top to the bottom animal, meaning that, you know, they were from 58 to maybe 60% dressing percent across the entire load. And then we had loads that had a 10% or greater difference, so 50 to 60 or larger. Yes?
Were age factors in some of those weight differences?
These were sorted out cattle, okay, and yeah, there were going to be some age differences, but all A maturity. Okay, all A maturity.
Did you want crossbreeding?
We do a lot of crossbreeding, yes.
That would,
No, not if you're genetically, crossbreeding should not produce disparity if you're doing it right.
what did you think it was then? What was the reason?
Well, the reason over time is because, you know, first of all, we don't produce all of the cattle that we harvest. Okay? We can't do it. Okay? So we have other finishers that we source from as well.
I was thinking, just for your...
No, because we can't. So these are just harvests that we've made over time, but we can't produce everything that we harvest annually. So we also have finishers that we contract with that finish for us that we buy from as well. Okay? So these are just harvests that we've done, you know, through the years looking at this. And now we don't have these types of differences anymore. Okay? I can tell you that. We're a lot better on it. But this is what I'm saying, learning through the school of hard knocks. Okay? Learning through the school of hard knocks.
Well, did you get rid of those finishers?
No, we help them get better.
Okay,
We help improve their genetics, and we help them improve their finishing.
okay.
So we'll talk a lot about the finishing aspects and forage and grazing management later today, but it takes both of those combined to improve this. So here's the deal. The live price differential, what we paid for those cattle, varied by more than $1,200 from the top animal to the bottom animal. The top 20% averaged right at $2,600 per head is what we paid for them. The bottom 20% averaged $1,700 per head. So the top 20% brought $835 more per head than the bottom 20. Which side of this would you want to be on? Okay? Do you want to be selling me the $1,700 animals, or do you want to be selling me the $2,600 or more animals? All right? Now, here's the deal. You may think that I would prefer to pay this versus this. No. I would prefer to pay you the top price. Why? Because I'm getting genetically uniform animals that are uniformly finished, and now I can go to my customer and build my customer base and satisfy them. If I'm paying this to you, all I'm doing is shooting my own self in the foot. So the more I have to pay you, due to true performance now, not just me paying more, I understand that, but due to true performance, the more I have to pay you, the better off I am as a marketer. So yes, sir.
You said that you don't have these differences anymore. Just as a swag, how much of that is genetics and how much is feed that you got more consistent?
That's a very good question. And my answer to that would be somewhere between 30 and 40% genetics, and then 60 and 70% forage and grazing management. Absolutely. So as with most genetic traits, environment is going to have a bigger impact than just the genetics themselves. Right, Erwin?
That's right.
You know, so you can produce the best genetics, But if you don't manage them properly, guess what? You still have nothing, okay? You have good genetics, but they're not able to express their